Hi, I'm Balaji Chippada and welcome back to our YouTube channel. In continuation of our SQL series, in this video, we will learn everything about select statement. So without any delay, let's get started. In the previous video, we have seen how to use a database and how to check all the tables that are present inside your database and how to check high level statistics of a table using a keyword called describe. If I execute describe, I can get to see that it has four columns: ID, name, year, and rank score, and the data type of each column, and whether it is having null values or not, and what is the primary key or not as well. Now, what if I want to get all the movies that are present inside my database? Let's say I want to list down all the movies. So, how can I do that? So, the task at hand is list all movies in my database. Okay, this is the task. So how do you solve this task? So first we know that we have a table named movies, right? So we know a high level information that movies is a table in which it contains the information about all the movies that are present. So what I want to do is I want to retrieve all the elements inside this table. So that is where we have a new keyword called select. And what I will say is, let's say I'm having star here. Okay, we will talk about all of these things in detail, and we will say from, and I will use my table name movies. So here it is a SQL statement which is having a semicolon at the end. So this and this are keyword, and these two can be either uppercase or lowercase. It could be anything, but we will prefer using uppercase because it is of industry standard. And this is my table name, and here I'm using movies because I know that movies is the table inside my IMDb dataset in which I have the information about all of my movies. What is this? So this basically means select all columns. Now let's understand this statement in a complete way. So we are selecting all the columns from the table called movies. So what it will do is, let's say this is my movies table and there are four columns and multiple rows. So what this will do is it will return you another table in which it will print all the records for all the columns inside your original table. Okay, so what we are saying is I want to retrieve all the records that are present in my table called movies by using this statement select star from movies. Hopefully that is clear. Now let's execute this and understand in detail actually. So here I have the statement select star from movies, and if I execute this, if you see, I got the output here, and I can see that I have all the information about my ID column, name, year, and rank score. Rank score is basically a score given by IMDb for every movie, and it is calculated as the average score of ratings given by all user. So every movie in your IMDb is having a rank score, and if movie doesn't have a rank score, we have the null values present as well. And when I executed this select star from movies, I'm able to get and see all the details and all the records of my movies table. And if I scroll down here a little bit, and if I scroll down, I could see all the information about this movie table is printed. But there is one limitation in this SQL workbench. If you look at this one, the statement that we executed on the top, if I show you a little bit here, here I said select star from movies, but when the workbench executed, it executed select star from movies limit 0 comma 1000. We will learn about this limit in the next video, but it is a limitation of the SQL workbench. But usually what happens is when you do select star from movies, it is going to print every record of the table. Hopefully that is clear. And the output itself is another table in which you have the metadata as well. ID, name, year, and rank score are metadata of a table, and the output, which is called a result set. So whenever you execute this, this will give you a result, right? That is called as a result set, and this result set is again a table. It could be of any SQL table. So here we have another table in which we have all the information of about the table called movies from our IMDb database. Hopefully that is clear. Now there is a problem that will happen in this scenario. What that is, when I say star, it is going to give me all the columns, right? And I personally have seen that in the real world we have tables in which we have more than 500 plus columns, or sometimes we can have 2000 plus columns. So in that scenario, if you execute this, it is going to retrieve the data for all of those columns, right? And you might not need all of those columns at certain point. So what do you do with 2000 columns? Maybe you need only few columns that you are interested in, right? So how can I do that? What I will say is select. Let's say my table is having 4 columns, for example, ID, name, year, and score. So what I would say, I want name, comma, year, whatever the columns that I want from my table name movies. So let's break this down. So what we're doing is I'm selecting all the columns that I want from my table called movies, and every column is separated by a comma, and at the end you will have a semicolon to end the SQL query. So by doing this, instead of putting or pulling all the data from my table, I am just only pulling the data for the columns name and year, and I get all the information. And this will be much faster because you are loading only few columns, and this is a faster way to do it. And I would highly recommend to always use this kind of a select statement rather than using star, such that your query performance will be much faster, and this is much more specific to your need as well. Because what is our task? I want to list down all the movies, right? List down movies. So what will I do with the ID column? If I get the name of this movies that is present inside the movies table, that is good enough, right? And if I get name and year of this table, that is good enough. I don't need to print the ID, right? So that is where you can use select column names from your table name. Now let's understand this by applying it on the SQL. So what I would do is I would say select name comma year from movies. Now let me execute this, and if you see, now I got the output for only the name and the year data. And if you see here I am using an uppercase statement, and here I am using a lowercase statement. So this is one of the good things about SQL. Even if you have uppercase, if you are lowercase, the statement is going to work perfectly fine unless and until you have syntax issues. So what if I remove the semicolon at the end? Let me try and execute this. Even here I am getting it, that is fine, but some of the cases you will not get it. I will show you example in the later videos. And here I got the name and the year, and if you notice, this data is in the same order of my original database. So let's say I have my movies table like this, movies, and it has 4 columns, okay, and it has multiple records. When I say select star or from movies, so what it is going to do is it is going to give you 4 columns, and it is going to print you the data in the same order. So this is your first record from the original table, and that will be your first record in your output of this statement, and the second record will be the same in the second record. Now what if we say select name comma year from movies? So if I do this, the output will have only 2 columns, name and year, and this is a table as well again. And the first column in which we have the name, that would be present in the first record of this output, and the second row from the original table will be the second record of this subset output. Hopefully that is clear. That means the order of the data that is present in original table will not get modified unless and until you specifically declare by doing some operations on top of it. We will also look at that operations in later videos, but select statement, if you don't give any other operations, it is going to retain the same order of your original table. Hopefully that is clear. And if I execute this, we got the output. See? And what if I want to change the order of my columns? So let's say I do something like this. I am saying select year and name. Let me execute this and understand the output. Now I got the year and name. My original table, I have 4 columns. ID, name, year, and rank. And it is not mandatory that you have to give or select the columns in the order of your original table. You can shuffle your column names. So what I said here is I want to retrieve the year first and the name in the second column, and that is how I get. Even this order is maintained by the original table order. Hopefully that is clear. So just to conclude all of this, describe command will give you the high level information of your table, and when you do select statement, you can select the specific columns that you want and in a specific order that you want. When you do select star, it is going to give you all information about all the columns and all the records of your data set. And when you select specific columns, it is going to give you that amount of data only. And you can change the order of columns that you want in the select statement, and it is highly advisable to use the specific columns rather than star, because this will be little bit less efficient if you have huge amounts of data, and it is not ideal to always use star from the movies table, or it could be any table name. It is always ideal to select the columns that you want to visualize for in using select statement. Hopefully you understood the essence of select star and select the column names, and what is the difference that you're going to get by using these two statements. And that's all for this video, guys. In this video we have learned about how you can use a select statement and how you can get all the columns of your table, and how you can only select a specific columns, and how you can change the column order as well, and select statement will always keep the original order of your table. Hopefully you learned something new from this video. In the next video, we will be learning about limit and offset. If you are liking this content, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell icon to get notified daily. We will meet in the next video. Bye bye.